Hi, how you guys doing today? I'm Adam from the Press Continue podcast there, and today, of course, it is Tuesday. So what do I do on Tuesdays? I talk about commander decks on Magic the Gathering. So today's commander is Heartless That's so hard. I've been saying Hidetsugu, but it's Heartless Hidetsugu. It's Heartless, okay? So he's a red commander, legendary Ogre Shaman, costs 5 mana. He's a 4/3, and when you tap him, Heartless Hidetsugu deals damage to each player equal to half that player's life total, rounded down. So, here he is, the actual card. Isn't it wonderful? On my Yoshi backer. So, Yoshi! Alright, so... anyway, so yeah, this is a deck that I haven't played very much, but I'm starting to play it more because I'm starting to dig it more. So thought I'd show it off today because it's one that's just been kind of sitting in a box, and I just decided to start carrying it with me again, and it dominates pretty hard. It makes the game much faster. So whenever we got to do a quick game, that's when I really pull this thing out. And so let's get to it, right? Bang, there's the table. So, as usual, I start with lands. So let's get the basics out of the way, right? And I did not change this. So let me fix this. How do you spell it? Hidetsugu. Alright, there we go. Got the title fixed. So, here we go. So, we got basic lands. Hello, Andy. Thanks for showing up and hanging out with me for a while. So, here we go. Okay, so first, you guys know how I have, whenever I win a game, I have friends sign the card, right, or whoever I played with. So this was one of the first times I won with this deck, and Mitchell and Zach, two guys that I love playing against because they're just like a lot of fun, and they're very good sportsmen. They don't get salty about anything, so they always draw little stick figures. So Mitchell was jumping off the cliff, and he signed first, and then Zach drew himself catching Mitch so he didn't die off the jump. So. So I thought that was pretty funny. This is one of my favorite signed cards from the little tradition that I have. So, okay, so we got a bunch of basic mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 31 basic mountains. There's a reason why I have mainly basic lands in this deck, and it's not just because it's single color, but you'll see later why it's mainly basic lands. There are a few non-basics that I threw in there. For example, Terrain Generator. Tap to add 1 colorless mana. Pay 2, tap it, put a basic land card from your hand into play tapped. It is literally my only mana ramp, and I think like 70% of the time I end up getting this thing on the table and getting that mana ramp to get to 5, because you got to get to that 5 mana spot before this deck really takes off. This is something I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep it in there. Let's see. Are we at a good spot for reading? Yeah, I think so. It's Nephalia's Academy. And Nephalia's Academy says, if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, you may reveal that card and put it on top of your library instead of putting it anywhere else. Tap to add 1 colorless. So it's one of those lands, it could stop me from throwing stuff in the graveyard. If an opponent forces me to, it's one of those, I just kind of want to play with it. That's why it's in there. Will I keep it in there? I don't know. But it's not that great. I can actually... There's actually, again, because mountains are a big deal in this deck, there's a reason why if I did take that out, I would just put a mountain in. So, Blasted Landscape. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to my mana pool, and it cycles for 2. It's the only cycling land that I found that doesn't come into play tapped. Again, I always looked for non-basic lands that come into play untapped because I need as much speed as I can to get this deck rolling. So, that's why there's not a lot of non-basic lands. I'm going to mess with the focus a little bit here for a second. There's not a lot of non-basic lands. That made it worse. Because most non-basic lands come into play tapped, and we don't want that. So I don't do that. Rogue's Passage. Tap to add 1 colorless, pay 4, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Pretty straightforward. Velikut, the Molten Pinnacle. Finally got to play this last time I played my deck. This is a foil one too, which is pretty card. Velikut the Molten enters the battlefield tapped. It's my only non-basic land that comes into play tapped. But whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains, you may have Velikut the Molten Pinnacle deal 3 damage to target creature or player, and it taps to add 1 red. So it basically turns all your mountains into lightning bolts after you have 5. So you have 5 and this out, so that 7th land is a lightning bolt. Great card. Sun-Scorched Desert, that's foil too. People are like, why do you like this card? Well, it's a land that does direct damage. Why wouldn't I like that card? And there's no drawback to it. So when Sun-Scorched Desert enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player, and tap to add 1 colorless. So, and it's foil. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, when a land can do damage, why the heck wouldn't you play it? And then Glacial Chasm? I don't know. Cumulative upkeep 2 life. When Glacial Chasm comes into play, sacrifice a land. You cannot attack. All damage dealt to you is reduced to 0. So, right there is combo number 1 with Heartless, because I can tap him and damage everyone else, and I take nothing. Of course, I would play this after I tacked, and then I would tap and do a bunch more damage. Glacial Chasm just totally makes sense in this deck, right? So, that's the land base, which not a lot of craziness compared to some of the other decks, but it is one of my few single color decks that I've ever made. So let's put that to the side. And you know, I've really noticed that I like red. I like playing red. Almost every deck that I have has red in it. So everybody's like, oh my god, the whole time, really? Okay, I thought the mic wasn't working all that time. I was about to freak out. So yeah, everybody's always like that red is the weakest commander color, but I find a lot of power in it. It works with my play style, which is a little more aggressive than most other people that kind of just sit back and fish for their combo and then combo off. I like to react and attack. I don't like to just sit back and try to get to my combo. I like to play against what's on the board, and that's more what this does. It's not, I'm just not looking for a combo. I'm looking to overpower everybody and deal with them with all the crazy spells that I have, which there is, I found out today, more spells than there is creatures. So, which usually I kind of got a 50-50 mix on those. So we're going to go through the spells now. Ready? Here we go. So a lot of what's going on with Heartless is because I see it as the second he comes out, somebody's going to target him to kill him, right? And then I've wasted 5 mana. So I had to do a bunch of stuff to to give him haste. So you'll see quite a few things throughout the deck here that will give him haste, like Swiftfoot Boots, that gives it hexproof and haste, equipped for 1. Hammer of Perforos. Creatures I control have haste, so all of them. And I can pay 2 and a red, tap, sack a land, put a 3/3 colorless golem enchantment artifact creature token into the battlefield. So it can also make creatures. You'll see that there are more haste things throughout the deck. That was just a few of them that are actually in the spells, or the non-creature spells list. Then I get into some drawing, Faithless Looting. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards with a flashback of 3 mana, which means I can play it again from my graveyard for 3 mana. Tormenting Voice in a foil, too. It's actually really cool in the foil, the way that they did the foiling. As an additional cost to cast Tormenting Voice, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Cathartic Reunion. Again, as an additional cost to Cathartic Reunion, discard 2 cards to draw 3 cards. Alright, so you see the card draw options going on here. Endless Atlas. I just put this in there because I had it again in that the Commander 18 deck. Pay 2, draw a card. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. Well, Mountain is a land name, so if I have 3 mountains on the table, I can draw cards real easy off this. Again, really good in a single color deck, because you'll be drawing cards real easy. Hazaret's Monument. Red creature spells you cast 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Again, ways to get through my deck. Ruby Medallion. I don't get to use the medallions very much. We used to use them all the time when they first came out, because they were great, and we used to make a lot of single color decks. I actually bought a ton of Tempest to get all the medallions, and after I think 13 boxes of Tempest, I finally got the one that I was missing, which was the Opal one. And I still don't have the Opal one. I have no idea what I did with it. I think I traded it off to somebody or something. But Ruby Medallion, your red spells cost 1 less to play. How about that? Now I get into some damaging spells. You got Landslide. Sacrifice any number of mountains. Landslide deals that much damage to target player. Good old Lightning Bolt. You guys know how much I love Lightning Bolts. This is my foil bolt. Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to target creature or player. One of my favorite cards of all of Magic is Lightning Bolt. Price of Progress. Price of Progress deals 2 damage to each player for each non-basic land they control. So everybody plays with non-basic lands. You see why, again, I was thinking about taking that one non-basic land out, just so I have less of a chance of taking damage off my own spells. But that's a game ender right there, and it's an instant. Pulse of the Forge. I put a lot of strange red cards in here because you don't get to play a lot of the strange red cards. So Pulse of the Forge is an instant. It deals 4 damage to target player. Then if that player has more life than you, return Pulse of the Forge to my hand. So it's essentially a spell that I can cast over and over if somebody has more life than me. Volcanic Offering. This is one I just picked up, and it's an instant, and it's fun because I actually got to play it for the first time too this weekend. It destroys target non-basic land I don't control, and then target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. So right there it destroys 2 non-basic lands. And then Volcanic Offering deals 7 damage to target creature I don't control, and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice I don't control. So I like it because it gets like everybody at the table involved, and you can bounce stuff around all over the place, but it essentially kills 2 non-basic lands and kills 2 creatures for 5 mana. And it's all stuff that I don't control. So I think it's just like a fun party card, and that's why I played it. And it was fun. People made some interesting choices with that. Pyrokinesis. You may remove a red card from your hand from the game instead of paying Pyrokinesis' cost. and it deals 4 damage divided any way I choose among any number of target creatures. I never realized that it was creatures only. Well, but it's a free damage spell by discarding a red card, so that's fun. Then there is Fire Blast, another freebie. You may sacrifice 2 mountains instead of paying Fire Blast casting cost. Fire Blast deals 4 damage to target creature or player. So this is one of those, if it's in my hand, I hold it, I hold it, I hold it. If somebody's going to straight up kill me, they're taking 4 damage no matter what. Or I can use that to surprise and kill someone when I get their health low enough. They'll think I'm tapped out and I can't do anymore. And then here comes a Fire Blast. Always been a great card out of Visions that we played from the beginning. Earthquake. Deals X damage to each player and each creature without flying. So wreck the table. That's one of my board wipes, as well as people killers, as well as Breaking Point. And any player may have Breaking Point deal 6 damage to that player. If no one does, destroy all creatures. Creatures destroyed that way can't be regenerated. So something interesting about Breaking Point is either way for 3 mana, I'm either killing all creatures or dealing 6 damage to someone. Which I think either way is great value. So Breaking Point's in there. I've yet to play a Breaking Point and see what people choose. So that's an interesting card. There's a lot of cards in here I haven't played onto the table. Because again, I haven't played this deck very much. But when I do, it does really good. Hour of Devastation. All creatures lose indestructible until end of turn. Hour of Devastation deals 5 damage to each creature and each non-bolus planeswalker. So it's the only spell that I have that can do damage direct to a planeswalker. Well, actually, I'm sure a lot of the direct damage stuff has been eroded to do damage to a planeswalker as well. But this gets around indestructible, which has always been an issue for me. Nevdisk. Comes into play tapped. Pay 1, tap it, destroy all creatures, enchantments, and artifacts, including Nevdisk itself. So again, another board wipe. Then, okay, so we got a lot of instants and sorceries going on, right? So, why not be able to fork it? And fork with its old text. Any 1 sorcery or instant spell just cast is duplicated. Treat fork as an exact copy of target spell, except that fork remains red. Caster of fork chooses the copy's target. So this one's an instant. This basically does the same thing, reverberate as an instant. Copy an instant or sorcery, choose a new target. And then there's also double cast out of M19. But that one's a sorcery, and I didn't realize it was a sorcery. That's just when I cast my next instant or sorcery spell this turn, I copy that spell. I can choose new targets for the spell. So they all basically do the same thing for the same amount of mana. 2 are instants, 1's a sorcery. That just counts me. But what's fun with reverberate and fork is I can copy other people's spells. So basically I can copy a counterspell to counterspell. I can copy your fetch spells to fetch more land. I can copy your take extra turns. Do whatever the heck I want if I got that 2 red mana up. So typically I'm going to use those to copy my direct damage spells because I'm going to have your health low enough. I'm going to kill, and I'm going to use that damage to kill multiple people. So, for example, put 2 mana in the pool. Sack that 2 for Fire Blast, fork it. So right there is 8 damage, 4 damage to 2 players, and 2 people are out of the game because I already got them that low. So that kind of stuff happens. Funny enough, I've never played any of these cards in this deck, but they're in there. So now we had double spells, right? Now we got stuff that doubles damage, and I'll explain why after I talk about all the cards. So we got Insult to Injury. Insult is damage can't be prevented this turn. If a source you control would deal damage this turn, it deals double damage. And it's Aftermath. says injury deals 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. So Aftermath, of course, means that's what you cast when it's in your graveyard. So that's one. Furnace of Wrath, always fun since the beginning. Doubles all damage assigned to any creature or player. Curse of Bloodletting. This one enchants a single player. If a source would deal damage to enchanted player, it deals double that damage to that player instead. Then we got Dictate of the Twin Gods. Nice foil one there. With Flash, if a source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double damage to that permanent or player instead. And Gratuitous Violence. If a creature I control will deal damage to a creature or player, it deals double that damage to creature or player instead. So this only doubles for creatures, which Heartless is a creature. When he taps, he does damage. It doubles that damage. Okay, so first, Contingency Plan here, right? So with all these damage doubling things in Heartless, if I tap him to deal half your life in damage, and it's doubled, you're dead. Again, he's usually going to have haste. So this is if someone gets to the point where they're going to take over the game or something like that, and I have one of these damage doubling cards out there, this ensures that either they're going to leave me alone, or the whole game is just going to end in a draw, because I will kill everybody at the same time if I have to, so that someone else does not win. But I have ways to prevent that damage to me, which you have not seen yet. So, here they come. Dark Sphere. It's an old artifact from the dark. Tap it, sacrifice Dark Sphere to prevent half damage done to you by a single source rounded down. Okay, so there's damage prevention number 1. Pentagram of the Ages. These cards are so dumb. Pay 4, tap, prevent all damage dealt to you from one source. Pentagram of the Ages does not prevent the same source damaging you again later this turn. Okay. Bone Mask. Pay 2, prevent all damage to you from any one source. For each 1 damage prevented this way, remove the top card of your library from the game. Cool. So, there's some damage prevention. I feel like there needs to be more in there, but there's not a lot of artifacts that offer damage prevention. Those are the 3 decent ones, which you can tell are not that decent anyway, but they are in there, and they have saved my butt a few times. Expedition Map. Pay 2, sacrifice Expedition Map, search your library for a land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Well, guess what land I'm going for every time? I am always going for the Glacial Chasm. So, that's again, double damage, put Glacial Chasm out there, and I'm protected. I can't take any of that damage, and everybody else is taking double damage. So, eat it. Die. Basilisk Collar. This again can save me. Equip creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. Equip 2. So, again, with that on Heartless, I tap them. Everybody takes twice damage in life. I gain that much life. So, everybody else dies. I live. Things like even early in the game when I'm tapping, when everybody's at 40, I tap them. Everybody goes down to 20, and I go up to 80. I mean, it's all good stuff with that. Basilisk Collar has worked for me. This is a risky card, but it has won me the game before. Final Fortune. For 2 red mana, take another turn after this one. You lose the game at end of turn. Okay, so I have used this in a 3-player game. I've only actually cast it once before. And what I did with it was, there was 3 of us, and I took my turn, the next person took their turn, attacked a bunch of people, got us all pretty low in life, and I said that the 3rd person, you don't get your turn, I'm going to Final Fortune and take a turn after his turn. And I did that, and I was able to kill both of them before the end of turn, so I didn't die. So it's a risk, but it could be one heck of a reward. And it's one of those cards that's just fun to have in there. And when you do play it, nobody sees it coming, and they're like, what the heck is this? It's risky, but it's fun, and I like it. Yeah. And if anything, if I don't want to play it, hello. Also, I love that commander. Fun to play against. Fun to play against? Who is that? Crimson Wanderer. Welcome to the show. You like playing against Heartless? I usually like playing as Heartless, because when I don't like being on the other side of this deck, because I've had other people that have, like, they haven't brought commander decks, and I'm like, just go ahead and play my red deck. And them playing this Heartless deck has gotten them to play commander, where they before only played standard. So whenever something silly happens, I just laugh, whether bad or good for me. And that's the best way to play Magic, is that like I said at the beginning, you can't be salty about it. You just got to play the game. Whatever happens, happens. It's a game. You're supposed to have fun. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be playing it. So if you've watched any of my other shows, you know that I make silly decks. I play goofy cards. I pull all the random junk out because that's just how I like to play. I like to just be like, why the heck are you playing that? And then make the cards work somehow. So it's a fun thing. Disrupt Decorum. Goad all creatures you don't control. So again, make everybody else fight each other, and then I swoop in and kill you with all this direct damage and stuff like that. So, good times. Sunbird Invocation. So, whenever I cast a spell from my hand, reveal the top X cards. Goad is a fun mechanic. Yes, ever since I saw Goad come out, I have enjoyed it, and other people don't really like it that much, and it doesn't see much play, but especially with this, I really enjoy it, and I've played with other, what is that blue guy? He's a little blue guy that's giving everybody the finger, that when he comes into play, he goads target creature. And I play with him all the time too, and that's a fun card too. And everybody's just like, "Oh, great, you goaded me." For Sunbird Invocation, whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. You may cast a card revealed this way with converted mana cost X or less without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this has been a very powerful card every time I've seen it hit the table for anyone. And I love stuff that lets you cast things for free. So this, Fire Blast is free. What else have I had in this deck that's free? Not much else in this deck. No, not much else in this deck. But if you, again, watch some of my other shows, actually, my Johan deck, that's the whole theme. He's a red-white, green deck, and it's built around cheating every creature into play. And that was an old show, so if you haven't seen that one, look at it on our show's history. Or, of course, we have our YouTube channel, too, Press Continue Podcast. Just search for it, all one word, and you'll see all our old shows on there, too. But check that deck out. That's a fun deck. First time here. Well, welcome. I appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me tonight. But that is the non-creature spells in the deck. Now we get to the fun creatures, right? So, and I'll always remind everybody, whoever's new, I know, what is it? Crimson Wanderer, since you're new to the show, I always like to remind everybody, if you like what you're watching, hit that little subscribe button, subscribe or follow button. Hang out with us a couple days a week. I do Tuesdays, I always do Magic, Commander decks. Wednesdays, I do retro gaming. And then, of course, we have the podcast, which is listed over I always get the finger backwards. Over there. So, alright. Here goes the non-creature spell, or, I'm sorry, the creature spells. And here's a goading card. Look at that. Grenzo Havoc Razor. When a creature I control deals combat damage to a player, choose one. Goad target creature that player controls, or exile the top card of that player's library until end of turn. I can cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So, fun. He comes out early. I usually get a few cards off of somebody's library, or I'll cast a few spells off their library too. I keep forgetting about that second half of that card that I can cast those spells that I'm exiling. Dualcaster Mage with Flash. Whenever Dualcaster Mage enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Again, you saw a second ago that I had some other copy spells, so copying things is good. Galvanoth. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So again, cheating stuff. Stealing things is always nice, and a nice way to make you a target. Oh, trust me, this whole deck, I'm a target. It's all about killing them before they kill me. I gotta be quick. Definitely gotta be quick. So that's why I'm hoping to get the big baddies out there with haste before they can get to me with big baddies or combo off. So gotta get them before anybody else combos off. So that's why I'm casting free spells with Galvalith. Atali Primal Storm. When Atali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. Again, I've not gotten this on the table yet either. But I can't wait till it does hit the table because I want to be casting everybody. I want to be playing everyone else's deck. It's like a red control deck, which is typically a blue thing, which blue for the longest time has been my favorite color. But I've kind of been steering away from blue because it just makes too many people angry, and you do become the target. Yeah, when it hits the table, it dies fast. Oh, I'm sure. But again, I don't know if you saw at the beginning, I have a lot of haste making things in here. So it still gets a chance to do things. Goblin Dark Dwellers, there's a nice foil. 4/4 Menace. When Goblin Dark Dwellers enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put in your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So there you go. Again, more free spells. Hopefully they're direct damage. If not, a lot of it were draw spells. So Wildfire Eternal. Afflict 4, which means when it's blocked, defending player loses 4 life. Whenever Wildfire Eternal attacks and isn't blocked, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost. So again, casting free spells, awesome. Conduit of Storms. This is a proxy because I have the real one in one of my other decks, which is a foil flip card that I actually have. Whenever Conduit of Storms attacks, I add 1 red to my mana pool at the beginning of my next main phase this turn. And for 5 mana, you can transform him, which when he transforms, I don't know if I printed out the transform of him. Oh, I did. Look at that. He turns into a 5/4 that says when he attacks, I get 2 colorless mana. That at the beginning of my next main phase. Which in the other deck that I have him in, which is my Grand Rada deck, he transforms quite frequently and makes lots of mana for me. Nahib the Eternal. There you go, making more mana, right? Flick 3. So again, if he's blocked, defending player takes 3 life, or loses 3 life. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add 1 red to my mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. He's a 4/6. So I'm attacking, I'm either getting 4 or I'm getting a flick 3. Again, teaming that up with some of the other things that I have with direct damage, especially with Earthquake, this can make a ton of mana. There was one of my friends, Zach, he ran this guy as his commander, and that deck was rough. So rough, man, so ridiculously fast. He was casting huge X spells off this guy as his commander. Every time he pulled that deck out, I was like, oh no, we're all dead. And we usually did die to it. It was a really good deck. It was fun to play against. It was fun to just watch it happen. Yeah, absurd amount of mana. Yeah, I've put him in a few decks, and he's just ridiculous. Molten Primordial, haste 6/4. When Molten Primordial enters the battlefield, for each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until end of turn. So, again, red control. I'm just going to steal everybody else's creatures and hit them with them. And then afterwards, I will just go ahead and, after I attack everybody with their own creatures, then I'll goad them all. There you go. Sure. Why not? Kazu, Tyrant of the Cliffs. He's a 5/4. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, create a 3/3 red ogre creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3. So again, everyone's coming after me. I gotta protect myself, and this usually does the job. Runehorn Hellkite. 5/5 flyer. For 6 mana, you can exile Runehorn Hellkite from your graveyard. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. So for 6 mana, you wheel. Again, since I have a lot of discard to draw cards, I don't mind having this in the graveyard for a wheel. My hand does usually empty out pretty quick. So it's good to have a wheel in there, since I actually do not have a Wheel of Fortune in this deck. But I do own Wheel of Fortune. I just didn't put it in here, because I'd rather have the actual spell space. Jaya Ballard Task Mage. This is by far the coolest foil card. The way that they did this, it's just a really neat effect that goes with the swirls that she's got around her. Beautiful card. So she does a lot. She's a 2/2, which you pay 1, tap, discard a card, destroy target blue permanent. Pay 2, tap, discard a card. Jaya Ballard Task Mage deals 3 damage to target creature or player. A creature dealt damage this way can't be regenerated this turn. And then the main reason I have her in here is for the pay 7 mana, tap, discard a card. Jaya Ballard deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. This is another fun one to have Basilisk Collar on, because I can end up gaining a bunch of life with the life link. And, I mean, she does end up killing herself, but it's another board wipe. It's, what is that? I can't even remember the card that did 6 damage to all creatures and players that cost 7 mana from the old days. I'm terrible remembering card names sometimes. But she's basically that on a stick. I'm trying to get my phone to cooperate here to keep up with the chats. Alright. Wolf of Devil's Breach. He's a 5/5. Whenever Wolf of Devil's Breach attacks, you may pay 2 and discard a card. If you do, Wolf of Devil's Breach deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. So again, popping creatures out by discarding stuff. That's cool. Spawn of Thraxes. Flying 5/5. Whenever Spawn of Thraxes enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains I control. Again, you see why I have just a lot of basic mountains. This is another cool foily card. For a while there, I was just picking up all foils, and just because I had the extra money to do it, so I picked up a lot of fun foil cards, and this was one of them. I've noticed that a lot of times the foil card is like, sometimes can be like 10 cents more, or sometimes even cheaper. So it's like, why wouldn't I get the foil versions? Scalding Salamander. This is another fun card that I actually, in this deck, I don't have it set up for it, but this is really fun to put Death Touch on. And I'll tell you why. It's a 2/1, and it says for 0, Scalding Salamander deals 1 damage to each creature without flying defending player controls. Play this ability only if Scalding Salamander is attacking and only once each turn. So I have this in there basically to do that 1 extra damage to all the creatures, which makes them have to double think their blocks, but also it gets rid of token decks, and again, fun card to put in a Death Touch deck. Give this thing Death Touch somehow, and it just wipes someone's entire fleet out before they can even block. So, awesome. Heart Piercer Manticore. Whenever a Heart Piercer Manticore enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Heart Piercer Manticore deals damage equal to that creature's power to target creature or player. So again, turning everything into bombs, right? And then Embalm for 6, which means exile this card from your graveyard, create a token copy of it, except it's a white zombie with no mana cost, and Bomb is a sorcery. So it gives me that ability twice if I need it. Hammer Mage. Figured why not throw something in there that messes up artifacts, right? X and a red and tap. Discard a card from your hand. Destroy all artifacts with converted mana cost X or less. Well, again, you notice I only had like 3 or 4 artifacts in here. It's just a way for me to get rid of annoying artifacts that I don't like. Ogre Shaman. Another random red card that turns everything into direct damage. Because you can pay 2, discard a card at random. Ogre Shaman deals 2 damage to target creature or player. In the old days, we used to dump our hand with all our mana. Heck yeah, EDH stream, welcome. Absolute Box, welcome to the stream. So there's the old Ogre Shaman. Yeah, we're doing Heartless Hidetsugu. Wait, we talked about this at the beginning. Heartless Hidetsugu, which is a solid red commander deck, of course. One of my only solid color decks. I have this one and a green one, which is Titania, which I did in one of my past streams. So if you're interested in seeing any of the old streams, again, I'll remind everybody that they're all also on YouTube. You just look up Press Continue Podcast on there, or look at past streams on here. So I don't think they've all been, like, over time they go away. So some of them should be on there. So we're talking about Sin Prodder now. He's a 3/2 menace. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Any opponent may have you put this card into your graveyard. If a player does, Sin Prodder deals damage to that player equal to the converted mana cost. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So it's another, again, card draw that has the potential of doing damage. With this out, I have the potential of drawing 2 cards a turn. What's funny is typically when this guy's out, I'm revealing lands, so I'm not doing any damage, which kind of sucks. But again, now I'm getting a land, and then I'm getting my actual card draw per turn. So it's good card advantage that has the potential of doing damage, and it's a 3/2 menace, which will do damage. So it's all good stuff. I like that. I like that card a lot. Young Pyromancer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 1/1 red elemental creature token into the battlefield. So again, there's a lot of instants and sorceries. So I'll be making 1/1s as, again, protecting myself, having some blockers. Here's my Gutter Snipe promo, which was one of the open house promos. I brought some friends out there to get this full art foil. Gutter Snipe says, whenever I cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe does 2 damage to each opponent, and he's a 2/2. It's a really cool card. I like these like full art where the text box is kind of see-through and all that. I've always enjoyed these kind of cards. So That's a pretty gutter snipe. Okay, Harsh Mentor. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield that isn't mana, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. So again, kind of shut them down a little bit, or they can take a bunch of damage for doing things like that. Kind of deals with combo decks a little bit. Either way, it's ways that free damage, and it's only for 2 mana. Blood Sworn Steward. He's a flying 4/4, but commander creatures I control get +2/+2 and haste. So that's, again, you got to give Heartless haste so that he's ready to go when you need him if somebody tries to kill him. Of course, I'm tapping him to do half damage to everybody. Oh, he doesn't hit the table unless he has haste, because everybody goes after him. So you got to be able to use that ability. So there you go. There's some hastiness. My Ogre Battle Driver. Again, I have this also in another deck, so I just put a proxy in here for now. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So again, you see what I talked about it earlier, that with this guy, Atali, Primal Storm, giving that haste, so the second it comes out, I can cast a bunch of free spells. You gotta have haste in this deck. Red is a very hasty color, so there you go. Goblin Motivator. He's a 1/1. Tap him, give a creature haste. So even in the pre-release, people would get me with this guy. He's tougher than I think people think he is. Goblin Motivator is a great card. The more I think about it, the more powerful this common is. So, good card. Angrath's Marauders. If a source I control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double damage to that permanent or player instead. So again, that's another damage doubler. So again, with Heartless, somebody messes with me or combos off, I could just end the game. But again, I have the couple of damage prevention type cards in there. Like I said earlier, Glacial Chasm, Bone Mask, Pentagram of the Ages, Dark Sphere. So I had ways to protect myself from that as well. So, what do we got to do now? We do what we always do. We take the cards and shuffle up and run some sample hands. So, since a few of you are watching right now, what are your favorite commanders? What is your favorite commander right now? Your favorite commander deck that you play right now. This is not one of my favorites, but it's quickly becoming a favorite because I've been working with this deck for a while, trying to tweak it up a little bit. But I want to hear what you guys are up to and what you like playing. So comment, or if you're watching this on YouTube, comment at the bottom of the video. Anybody watching live, put it out there. Let's hear it. Doing some quick shuffles here. Need some shuffling music. I'm fine tuning a Saheeli deck right now. The new C18 Saheeli deck. That's actually what I did on my last Commander stream. And a lot of those cards, actually, it's the deck I'm going to show next week. A lot of the cards in that deck actually went into a deck that I have been building. I've been doing a lot of artifact stuff lately. Her second +1 is amazing. What was the second +1? Let me look in my, see if I still got her in my photos. Maybe? Yes? No? My computer is being dumb. Yeah, when those decks came out, there were 4 of us. Reduce the next spell you cast. Oh, yeah. There's also an artifact that does that gives all your non-artifact spells improvise. So kind of works that way. But I made a deck with her in it, and it's actually a black, blue, red, and it's using a partner commanders. And it's built around improvise. It's built around treasures. It's built around affinity for artifacts. Yeah, but that pre-built deck by itself is actually pretty decent. So once it gets rolling, you can get stupid amounts of mana out of that deck, and that's kind of what I started doing with that. Is like, think about it. And again, I'm going to talk about it. Built a Grothmala All-Devouring deck. Grothmala, that's a, let me look up what that guy is. I know what cards, I know cards by what they do, not by their names a lot of times now, which is terrible. I used to know everything back in the old days. I've been playing since Revised. Then I quit for a while. Let's check out Grothmala. Oh, you know what? I have this guy, and I was going to build the Grothmala. I was going to build a deck around him and make it just a fighting deck. But I started putting it together, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. At least the theme that I was doing with it. So let's see. I run Crushing Ironworks. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow, Crimson Wanderer. I appreciate that. I run a Crackling Ironworks, and you have to use mana abilities before the improvise effect. Names would be hard if you played for that long. Yeah. I also quit for 10 years. I got back into Magic again like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was right after, like, I think it was right after Mercadian Mask is when I quit, and that's when I thought Magic was getting dumb. Like, the game just seemed to be running out of ideas, and that's when Planeswalkers came out, and I thought that Planeswalkers were the dumbest thing ever. Like, I'm like, they got cards doing too many things now. This is so stupid that there's so many abilities on one card. And that was kind of a lull for Magic at that time. But, and we moved, so I sold off a ton of my collection. And I had literally at least 5 of of all the original dual lands. I had Bazaars of Baghdad's. I had never had any of the Power 9s. I had a Candelabra of Taunos. All kinds of crazy power cards that are out there now. And I just went through my binders and found anything that was worth any kind of money back then and sold it all off, but then kept the rest. And so I still have a good majority of my collection, but all the crazy power cards of the old days, the really expensive stuff now, I do not have anymore. I wish I would have kept some of it, but again, it looked like the game was dying, so I figured I'd get the money while I could. And can't do anything about it now, but whatever. I still survived pretty good without those cards. I know I dabbled in when Meridian Block was first around, up to lower one a tiny bit, like a few packs worth of dabbling and precons. Then I stopped and started playing full on since Innistrad, and that seems to be when a lot of people came back, was Innistrad time. I came back during, I don't even know what set was out. The only tournaments I do are pre-releases, so I'd have to go back and see what pre-release was around at that time. But I always played multiplayer. I hated playing one-on-one. It was always at least 3 or 4 of us at a time playing. But back in the old days, there was not Commander. It was basically you do 60 card deck, or at least a 60 card deck, and you could play 4 of everything. We didn't even use banned and restricted lists, so we ran like 4 Soul Rings, whatever. If you had it, you played it. That was our house rules. And it was so much fun. I mean, Commander's great because, you know, it really changes every single game. The interaction is completely different. Of course, back then you didn't have all these like infinite combos and stuff like that because you didn't have cards that did that kind of stuff. There were not reactions like that. But nowadays, I mean, definitely Commander has to be a thing, having 1 of anything, because otherwise you can stack your deck way too hard, way too easily in a 60 card deck with 4 of anything. I like 1v1 when it isn't Commander. Commander 1v1 is just too weird. Yeah, I play it if there's no one else in the shop, because I don't even have a standard or modern deck. I still have some of my old decks from, you know, 10, 15 years ago put together, which are, again, crazy, weird, fun combinations that I always used to do. Of course, because all the new cards, the decks can't compete at all, but it's still some fun stuff. I did try and play Standard when the set before M19 came out, and I tried to play in a Standard tournament, and it made me remember how much I hate playing Standard tournaments. And I was just like, yeah, I hate my life. Why am I even doing this? I never want to play this again. And I went straight back to playing Commander because it just sucked. Even my son is 6 years old. I'm teaching him how to play Commander. We play 1v1 Commander. He goes, whenever we go to our, you know, local game shop, we'll get in 3-4 player games, and we have a great time. He's 6 years old, and he can already wreck people at Magic. It's awesome. It's awesome to watch. He can't even read the cards. I tell him what the cards mean, and he memorizes what the picture is, and he memorizes what they do, and then he just plays. And it's crazy how good he is. I would play Modern a lot more, but Mox Opals are too expensive. Mox Opal is the one that pays 0. Get a color of target legend, right? Because now I think they're down to like $15. Metalcraft, add any color you mean. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Not Mox Opal. What am I thinking of? It was in Dominaria. Mox something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $107 right now. Well, I think that's a good card to proxy. Mox Ambers. There you go. Yeah, Mox Ambers. I actually have that in my artifact deck. You need to look at. You'll get some good ideas for your Saheeli deck. Look at my one of my past streams for Animar. I call it my Anim Artifacts deck, and you'll find a lot of good cards in there for a Saheeli deck. So check that stream out. Again, that would be on one of my past streams on Twitch or on YouTube. You just search for Press Continue Podcast and you'll find it there too. So, alright. We're going to run a test hand here. And we got 4 lands, a Dark Sphere, an Earthquake, and a Runehorn Hellkite. So that's a decent start. So we'll draw 1 for turn. Just play a Rogue's Passage. Draw 2 for turn. Turn 2. Turn 3. Turn 4. Not playing. Just being quiet over here. Not being a target at all. Just being quiet. Turn 5. So we'll put out Heartless. See if he survives. Turn 6. We got 6 land. So this is where I would start doing things. We play a Dark Sphere so that it's ready with Heartless to save me some life. Oh, right there. Game over. Already. 4 mana for a Furnace of Wrath. And tap them. Everybody takes double their life. So I just did 40 damage to everybody. I will do half of that damage to myself by sacking Dark Sphere. So I am at 30. No, I'm at 20. Game over. Boom. Right now I just need Metalwork Colossus, Newer Tezzeret. Yep. Psymaster Thopterus. Psymaster Thopterus is really good. You have no idea. And one of the new improvised artifact fetch spells, a couple of lands. Metalwork Colossus, I'm also missing that. So I just have it proxied right now. Our group allows proxies, but I try to proxy as little as possible. Or if I do, it has to be cheap cards. But that test hand, what was that, turn 6? I won the game. So let's shuffle up and see what another test hand will do. Artifact fetch spells. Improvise artifact fetch spells. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, where it's like 3 blue and X with improvise, and you, I think, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have one of those, and I think I took that out. But the Tezzeret is definitely one of the cards I'm after as well to go into my. Again, most of my decks, they're very janky, so the one I'm going to show next week, I deemed it New Jank City, a play on words for the old New Jack City. So good times with that. Alright, so I'm shuffled up. Let's do another test hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Got a good setup here again. Disc if I need it. Oh yeah, okay. This is gonna go real quick. Okay, turn 1. Boom. Goblin Motivator. Turn 2. Oh wow, this is an excellent hand. Young Pyromancer. Give it haste, attack somebody for 2, right? Turn 3. I keep getting the lands I need too. Turn 3. We're gonna put a Conduit of Storms out there. Give that haste, attack people for 4. Sorry I was away for a tiny bit, and I was always going back and forth about Sai. I kept forgetting his draw ability. The draw ability, but there's also, before he came out, there was the enchantment for 1 blue and 3 colorless that every time you cast an artifact, you get a 1/1 Thopter. So that is something that you can put in there temporarily. Again, I can't remember. I think is it Thopter Spy Network? I don't think it's Thopter Spy Network, but it's a blue enchantment that's relatively cheap, and it's worth looking into until you can find somebody selling Sai. I got my Sai for $1, and then that thing instantly jacked up in price, so I got in there just in time. Turn 4 here. Wow. Turn 4. We're gonna Ogre Battle Driver and give it haste. Attack for 3, 4, 5, 7. And then this is where the game ends. Well, almost. So we pay 5, play Heartless. Oh, I could have played Heartless last turn. I'm an idiot. He has haste. I could have gave him haste. Spy Network is different. Now he's up to $5. So yeah, I got him when he was like 83 cents. And literally the next day he went up to like $3, $4, $5. So off of this, I can half everybody's life, attack out again, And then right here, got it going again. And it's a battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature when you... Okay. So, half everybody's life, or attack out. No, half everybody's life. Attack out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Play a heart-piercing Manticore and destroy this guy to do 3 damage to somebody. Thought Vessel, Mox Diamond. Yep, Mox Diamond. I have my Mox Diamonds. I can't believe how expensive those things are. I got them from original boxes. When I opened up my first box of Stronghold, I got 4 of them. Then I got a second box of Stronghold, and I got 2 more. I have 6 Mox Diamonds. I want to sell them, but at the same time, they're on the reserve list. So it's like, I don't want to get rid of anything that's on the reserve list. So... Ugh. Oh, hold on 1 second here. So, okay, so at this point, I've done a bunch of damage to everybody. I got them really low. And I would probably Final Fortune and go for the game ender. Draw. Get another land. Just play Nevdis because why the heck not? And Half-Life. Kill everybody. So there we go. So that's how this deck works. It's quick. 4 is all you need for a legacy deck. Yeah, and I tried making a legacy deck and played it a little bit. Took one of my old ideas. And it was a blue weenie deck that I took, and I modified it to be a blue-red weenie deck with some direct damage and some red power-ups and crazy stuff. And then I'm playing against people that are doing like weird dredge stuff and killing you first turn, and it was just like I couldn't get into Legacy again. So, but it's a guy that literally, his name's Zach, and his collection is ridiculous. His collection is literally seen as an investment. So, he has it like insured and everything. I mean, it's crazy. He's got like the Power 9, and he collects all these crazy cards that are like thousands of dollars a piece. And I wish I could just thumb through his collection one day just to look at all the old stuff. But he goes all out with it. So, but again, Legacy was completely different in the old days, and that's when I liked it. But now it's got so much weird junk that they throw in there that I can't even deal with it. The only Legacy deck I want to make now is a Battle of Wits deck. Since I saw a streamer play it and 5-0, a Legacy League, and MTGO with it. I'll have to look into see how Battle of Wits works. So, but that's how my Heartless deck works. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight, having a good time, hanging out with me. I hope you had a good time. So again, if you're watching and you still haven't hit that follow button, please hit it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. You can subscribe on Twitch as well. Tell your friends, because I am a newer Twitch streamer, so trying to build a little bit of a following. So help out. Tell your friends about me a little bit. Have them follow as well. I will see you again tomorrow, where I will be streaming some retro gaming. I'm actually going to finish up Super Mario World on Super Nintendo, hopefully beat Bowser tomorrow, and then depending on how much time I have left after that, we'll see. I might just start doing some other random stuff. So tune in next time, where the gaming never ends, as long as you press continue. See you next time.